Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Gurur-Brahma Gurur-Vishnu Gurur-Devo Maheshwara Guru-Sakshat Param-Brahma Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namah Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidyushavaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are discussing this fivefold benefits. Jigyasa Nivrutti. You can refer your notebook. Then Ananda Prapti. Paravasya Nivrutti or Paratantra Nivrutti. Sometimes we say Karpanya Nivrutti. Aghata Nivrutti. And finally Dakshata Prapti. I hope you remember all these points, because this actually will push you to make your mind to listen to you, or else mind will do whatever it wants. So that's why the natural quest, the curiosity, that will be resolved. You will gain happiness which is derived from knowledge, and of course the sense of dependence will go away, and reducing the impact of the situation, including the heart that you have already, that also will be resolved. And finally Dakshata Prapti, your efficiency will increase. So we discussed these 5 things put together is called moksha, is called liberation, which is being reflected in Bhagavad Gita in different scriptures very nicely. Of course, most of the time being misinterpreted, that is another thing altogether. But if you want to really understand what we call as liberation, what we call as enlightenment, or you want to say what is called nirvana, everything will be when these 5 points are put together. If any one is missing, remember, definitely you cannot look at as nirvana or liberation. Okay, I understand. Now what is this text? Because we discussed Tattva Bodha, the knowledge of the truth, in short called self-knowledge. Now what is the source? Actually, if we look at, we have 4 layers, or we can say the knowledge comes from different types of sources, even though source is one. So we look at first, the source is the Shruti, the Veda. So when you say Shruti, Veda as a pramana, as means of knowledge, not written by anybody, the rishis, the sages, the seers are the mantra drashtarah, natu kartarah. They have seen the mantras have been revealed to them. They have not written any mantras. They are not author of any mantra, in short. That's why the basic concept is that the Veda is to be accepted as pramana. So that is the source of this knowledge. And second layer, because how the Veda is divided into, because if you observe the amount of Veda that is now presently available, the literature is not even a fraction Not even one fraction, maybe 0.00. Many things have been burnt, have been destroyed. You cannot think of. What India has gone through, or you can say what Bharat has gone through, you cannot imagine. Let me not get into that part at all here. So the first source is Veda, the Shruti. The second layer is called Smriti. So Smriti, when you say, it is, let us say Smriti means memory, means written by any great saint. The same Vedic knowledge, but is being elaborated with a lot of examples, so that it becomes easier for common people to understand. And under this Smriti Grantha, Smriti literature, comes all Puranas. So all, especially 18 Puranas. And like Manu Smriti, we have many Smriti Granthas. So this is the second layer of knowledge. The third layer is called Sutra literature. Sutrani, like a Brahma Sutra. So there what happens again is being authored by essays. Vadarayana, Vedavyasa has written this. And what happens? Here it gives the logical support to the teaching and reinforcing whatever we have studied. So that's why Sutra literature, because sometimes this scientific mind, so-called mind, our intellectual mind, scientific mind needs logic. Without logic, you are not willing to accept anything. So that's why to give, because always we say the Vedic teaching is not illogical. But don't come to a conclusion, say that, Vedic teaching is illogical. No, it is not logical either. Because our job is not to establish logic. But it is not illogical. Because for this intellectual mind, for this logical mind, also we have Sutra literature. And this first three put together, traditionally we call as Prasthanatraya. Because these are the terminology you must remember, because tomorrow will be useful. Many times I will be using, because remember, this text what we are looking at is an introductory text. Not only that, it will teach you a lot of Vedantic terminology. In fact, this text is full of Vedantic terminology. Like when you go to especially medical science, first year, you don't learn anything in the sense you do not go to the practical. Only you start learning what? The terminology, medical terminology. The first year is very painful. Because you have to remember, you have to mark, you have to know many things, because all the terminology you have to remember. And the more you know the terminology, it becomes easier for you second year, third year or anything. Including your engineering, anything you study, first terminology is important. And this text is full of Vedantic terminologies. So this Prasthanatraya means Shruti, Smriti and Sutra, Brahma Sutra. So under Shruti comes Upanishads. So we have mainly we take 10 Upanishads, because whatever is being commented by Adi Shankaracharya, generally we take that. 10 major Upanishads. Under Smriti comes Bhagavad Gita. Even though it is called Itihasa, it is an history, but it is Smriti Grantha because written by Vedavyasa Maharaj. And finally Brahma Sutra, written by Vedavyasa and commented by Adi Shankaracharya. So these three are called Prasthanatraya. So everybody accepts. And the fourth layer of knowledge is called Prakarana Grantha, where we are now. So Prakarana Grantha always authored by various acharyas. various gurus, of course in our tradition. Because what happened, as you know, this teaching is continuing through Guru Shishya Parampara. And when it continues Guru Shishya Parampara, the teacher knows the mentality of the student. And moreover, when the time changes, there are certain examples to be improved upon or to be added, keeping the same methodology of teaching. So we keep changing little bit here and there. For example, if you look at Adi Shankaracharya's work, that time he had brought a lot of examples related to Buddhism, Shunyavadi. Because that time the Shunyavadis, the Buddhism was very predominant. So because Buddhism was predominant, that's why Adi Shankaracharya in his commentary always makes them as the first opponent. But nowadays, lot of other examples we need to give. That's why the acharyas do come up with new examples, keeping the same methodology of teaching, highlighting one aspect. So that is in short called Prakarana Grantha. So this text called Tattva Bodha is a Prakarana Grantha, so that you should be clear where you stand. So being Prakarana Grantha, now is written by one of the Acharya. Interestingly, this text written by whom we do not know, but from the prayer verse we understand that it is definitely written by one of the disciple of called Vasudevendra Saraswati. Many people look at this text is written by Adi Shankaracharya. They try to twist the first verse, which is not acceptable. If you go to anywhere, oh, Tattva Bodha is written by Adi Shankaracharya. Not necessarily. It is written by one of the disciples of Vasudevendra Saraswati and who is related to Kanchi Math. Because if you look at Kanchi Math Parampara, which is in Tamil Nadu, like now present Acharya in Kanchi Math, Swami Shankaracharya, Vijayendra Saraswati. Prior to him was Jayendra Saraswati, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. That Indra Saraswati comes in that lineage. So because it comes, that's why here this text is written by the disciple of Vasudevendra Saraswati. Now the question may arise, why we should study this text? Please understand, as I told you, there are two benefits studying this text. One is systematic study of scripture. That is the most important aspect. All of us nowadays know, especially if you ask Google Swami, Google Swami will give you all informations. But nothing is systematic. And of course, if you go to YouTube, you will get much more information. Of course, you will get elaborate, but there is no systematic approach. You yourself will not know what to listen, what not to listen to. That's why the first thing is this text will help you to look at the scripture systematically, because the problem in us is our mind doesn't think systematically. And when mind does not think systematically, all sort of problem happens. You just look at your life. Also, you can see your body movement, your behavior. Based on your thinking, your body moves. Suppose your body keeps moving here and there, that means your mind is not moving systematically. That your subconscious mind, let me not get into too much, but I need to talk this point. That because your subconscious mind is taking over you. So the whole problem of life is nothing, but we know many things, but we do not know really systematically anything. Like there are many dots. Some dots are connected, but really we do not get the clear picture. That's why more we know, more we are confused nowadays. So here, this text helps you not only to approach the scriptures systematically, but also to look at your mind systematically. It's because when you start approaching the text, the scripture systematically, your mind also will start thinking systematically. And of course, second benefit is you will start learning, picking up this Vedanta Paribhasa, which I have already mentioned earlier, the terminology of this called Vedantic terminology, so that later on you will be able to understand and use it. Because as you start looking at many scriptures, you will see only they will use the Vedantic terminology. They do not explain, like if you want to use a computer, so you have to know certain this computer terminology. RAM is not being explained everywhere, anywhere. Once it is understood, you have to understand. When the RAM comes, you have to understand it. Memory is not sufficient. For example, when you do something, memory is not sufficient, will pop up. You have to understand what does the memory mean. Don't look at your memory, okay? This is how the computer terminology. Say also, we have many terminologies. That is what is missing nowadays. For example, Danam, which is very common terminology. So Dana means then people will translate as a charity. That is called destruction of the terminology. Danam is Danam. Danam cannot be compared with charity because charity is a completely missionary based word. It has got a lot of limitations. Charity has a purpose. Charity has a goal. Charity has got a lot of loopholes. Whereas Danam, you cannot find it. So you need to explain what is Danam, then hold on to. So this is called terminology. So terminology cannot be diluted. Remember, this is the most important aspect in teaching. If you try to dilute the terminology, any terminology, whether it is a computer terminology or this what you call medical science terminology or engineering terminology, any terminology, you cannot dilute. You have to hold on to that. But unfortunately, all Vedic and Vedantic terminology being misinterpreted, diluted, left, rightly. And we are very happy because we say we are modern. Let us read with keeping this thing. The first verse, which I have already sent all of you. Please let us read. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. This particular verse, the beginning verse, is called a prayer verse. So when we start doing anything in life, always we do a prayer to seek the God's grace. Because we need God's grace in life. Because in life, Daiva Anukrupa, Daiva Anugraha, what we call this God's grace, is really important. We have discussed in different aspects differently. Because when there is no God's grace in your life, you have everything, but there you will feel always empty. The emptiness in you shows, indicates that you don't have much God's grace. And we say this Daivam is a very good thing to understand in English. These are the terminology. First I am using it. When you say Daivam, Daivam means not necessarily godly. Oh, you don't have to fear. It's not like that. Please understand. So here we says, Daivam is put together two words. Unpredictable and uncontrollable factors. It's a very nice way to understand what is Daiva, the God's grace. That unpredictable and uncontrollable. If we observe presently, the cyclone is now what? Predictable. Sometimes unpredictable, don't worry, okay? Right time it is unpredictable, but most of the time it is predictable. But even if it is predictable, but not controllable, just observe this point. The cyclone is not controllable. So that means that which is something unpredictable and uncontrollable. And the best example is your life. Is it predictable? Can you predict what will be your next thought? Try. Nobody can predict what will be the next thought. Okay, suppose you are smart, intelligent, you can predict. No, Swamiji, my next thought is predictable. I am only thinking now about this teaching. Okay, thank you. Don't tell me lie, but still I allow you. So you can predict. Then next thought is what? Can you control? Yes, of course. Keep thinking about the same thing for 5 minutes. Why 5 minutes? Just 1 minute. And remember, don't think in between egg, okay? You know the story. Don't think of egg. Other than egg, you can think of anything and everything. You know, remember the story of the bald person, okay? Without egg, you can think of everything. Please don't think of egg. Then what happens to you? What you will do? You will keep shaking your head. What does it mean? It is not only unpredictable and also uncontrollable. So that means the life is nothing. It's completely unpredictable and uncontrollable. But we want to predict everything and we want to control everybody. You understand? What a sad part of our life. When my life is not controllable, but I want to control everybody. So that's why we says that person tries to control others more and more where there is Daiva Anugraha is less. The God's grace is less. And of course there are group in the name of God's grace, they control more people. They want to have power. That is another story altogether. There is no God's grace. It's called political affairs. They are called religious mafia, I call them. So here we have to understand this point very clearly and carefully, that we need God's grace. And this God's grace is something will be taken care of by the prayer. And here the prayer is being done for two purposes. The first thing is that let this text be completed. When the author writes, is not sure whether the text is going to get completed or not. And also, even if it is completed, it should reach to the right people. Suppose it is being completed, remember, as I told you, gave a hint. India has gone through many difficulties, especially many people have come and invaded India. And when they invade, you know what they do. They burnt, they kill, they do everything. How many manuscripts have been burnt, you cannot think of. There are libraries where burnt, the fire was alive for months. The history says all the manuscripts were kept in the house, in the library, and these invaders put to the fire, and the library was burning, months together. And of course, some of the manuscripts have gone away to different countries. In fact, many manuscripts are available in German, in Europe. Taken away. Because invaders could do anything, whatever. So that means even if this person writes, and those days, remember, not nowadays, okay? You can put in the cloud, this, that, everything. It has to be written in palm leaf. You can do 1 or 2 maximum. So what is the guarantee? And of course, we said, when you keep the palm leaf, then this Ajavaksha means the goat can eat. White ants also can come. And of course, fire. There are many factors to get lost. So, to make sure the prayer is done, let this text continue. Thank God it is continuing. And here we do this prayer again for 2 purposes. Because this is also for us is a prayer verse. To make sure that this text will continue, okay? The text will get completed. And also, let it reach to the right people. Where there is sense of gratitude, where there is humility. That's why the first verse opens up. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Guru. Interestingly, in this text, the author's name is not written. That's what I told earlier. But starts with Guru. I salute the teacher. And who is the teacher? The teacher is Vasudevendra Yogindra. Means Yoginam Indraha. So the one who is great among all the yogis. So yogi means wise people. That's the one who has got self-knowledge here. So that means not only the person has got self-knowledge. When you say great among yogis, what does it mean? That means the one who has also equally contributed to the society. Because with reference to wisdom and wise people, there is no lesser or greater. All are equal. But we accept them, they are the great when they contribute. So the more they contribute, the more the greatness is attributed to them, even though it does not make any difference to them. Remember, your greatness depends upon what? Based on your contribution, based on what you do for others, not for yourself. Others means not you, for your family. Remember, family is nothing but again extension of you. If anything is an extension of you, don't think that is others. That is in fact you. So here is said that I salute my teacher Vasudevendra. So here this confusion comes. That is, this text is written by Adi Shankaracharya. How? They will say Shankaracharya's name is, as you know, Shankaracharya's Guru's name is Govinda Bhagavad Pada. So Govinda and Vasudeva. So both are one and same opposite name. Yes, this author could have written directly Govindacharya. Why Vasudevendra Yogindra? You understand? So this is called twisting. But doesn't matter. So we have to be very clear, because when you come across, so it is written by Adi Shankaracharya, you should not get confused. That's why I am giving this logic, making it clear. So Vasudevendra Yogindra. And of course again we can look at, not only this, Vasudeva interestingly is the name of the God. So also the Guru and God is being coined together here. And what sort of Guru? This is a beautiful point to understand. Jnana Pradam. The teacher must give the knowledge. One should go to the teacher for the sake of knowledge, not for anything. Because nowadays we go to the teacher for everything other than knowledge. And when people go to a teacher, please understand, when people go to a teacher, not for knowledge but for all other things, that time the teacher becomes the power of center. And that is how the missionaries, that is how all other activities starts. As long as people go to the teacher for the sake of knowledge, definitely the teaching tradition will continue. How and why, says next clause he gives. Mumukshunam hitarthaya. Who goes to the teacher? The mumukshu goes to the teacher. Not arti and artharthi. Those who are interested in liberation, we have seen in the Mumukshu Panchakam. Not those who are interested or those who have some distress in their life or those who are interested in prosperity. It's not like that. So that's why we'll see Mumukshunaya Hitarthaya, for the benefit of this text is meant for what? For the benefit of the Mumukshus, not for Arthi and Artharthi. And this Tattva Bodha avidhiyate. This Tattva Bodha, the text called name is called Tattva Bodha, the self-knowledge will get unfolded. So now if you are interested in liberation, if you are desirous of liberation, definitely this text is very much useful. More of it we'll see tomorrow. Please close your eyes. Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.